Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Velvet Lounge Life. This one has been a while in coming, but due to popular demand, because there were a lot of people who saw our sweet potato pie video, and I had a few folks that sent me messages, and I want to say like 7 or 8 people on Facebook who asked me about if I actually made banana pudding. And hello, banana pudding runs long, deep, but it doesn't honestly last a very long time in my family history. Why? Because as soon as it's made, everyone is lined up and ready to demolish it. So my mother is who I learned how to make banana pudding from. The thing is, over the years, I have adopted what I consider to be a healthier recipe, as well as one that you can make relatively fast. The thing is, as part of this recipe, there's no cooking, which is amazing. However, you do have to wait at least 24 to 28 hours before consuming the finished masterpiece. Why? Because you want those cookies to set in there really well and have the proper tenderness to them. Because obviously if you bite into a banana pudding and the vanilla wafers are still hard, not good. But also you don't want it to wait like, let's say 42 hours or 48 hours and have the cookies get too soggy. So here we go. What do I use to make this? What I do is I always use a clear bowl. Why? Because it just looks better in a clear glass bowl. Also, the other tools that you'll need are a knife and a couple of spoons, simply for stirring, cutting, nothing special. You do not require a blender or anything else because we're not making a meringue. So you also require the right ingredients. I think that's incredibly important. If you have someone who makes their banana pudding with store brand, let's just say store brand, value brand products, aka ingredients, versus someone who uses the ingredients I have out here on the counter for you today, believe me, there is a huge difference in the taste. There really is, in the taste, the flavor, the textures, etc. So let's get started. I'll just make this a little bigger. So here's a banana pudding. This is, like I said, the finished product. What I'm going to show you is the amount of ingredients that you need to make a bowl this size. Now, in making a bowl that is this size, which will serve at least, I would say, 8 people, maybe 10, there should definitely be some leftovers in there. What'll happen is you will have a little bit of ingredients left over afterwards. So you're not going to necessarily use this exact amount of ingredients, but you don't need more than this. So to make this, I needed a box and a half of vanilla wafers. We like to go wafer heavy. If you don't like the wafers as much, just use less. If you like more wafers, add more wafers. The only thing is, the more wafers you add, you need to add on at least another hour in the refrigerator. So let's say instead of 24 hours, you might need 25. It depends upon how many wafers you use. I actually have had this one prepared for a little over 26 hours now. And if it goes, even another day, it's probably fine. The other thing that you require is the pudding. So like I said, this is my quick version of how to make this. You could do it the long way and make your own homemade pudding, or even buy a pudding that is not instant pudding and make it that way. I actually used instant pudding because it's faster and it's just as good. And also I use Cool Whip because I am not going to make a meringue out of eggs and bake this in the oven. If you were going to do that, you would never, ever, ever use Cool Whip. But I'm using Cool Whip because I am not making a meringue. And also, I believe, like I said, this is by Nabisco. This is by Jello. Or if you use the one that's by Royal, the Royal pudding is just as good as Jello, in my opinion. And that's one of the large boxes. Also, it's not one of the small boxes. If you use the small boxes, if that's all you can find, buy 2 of those, 2. And also, this is a large tub of regular plain Cool Whip. If they only have the small containers, buy 2. And I have 4 large bananas. Whichever brand of banana you choose, up to you. That doesn't really matter. What matters is you want them to be approximately this ripe. So not overripe, but definitely not screaming green. Also, you want to use some real vanilla extract. And why the real vanilla extract versus like one of the cheap brands? Because the cheap brands have a lot of alcohol in them. And that might come across more than the actual vanilla, which is the whole purpose. Also, real lemon juice. So you could buy, like I do, the lemon squeeze, by this Italian company, or you could buy a regular lemon, just buy a lemon. You're going to need the lemon juice in order to make sure that your bananas do not turn a ghastly, nasty color, because they will oxidize and ew, they will look absolutely disgusting. These bananas have this one banana has 1/4 tablespoon of lemon juice in it. You simply stir it in there. These have been sitting out on the counter for a couple of hours and they haven't turned colors. So that's why you want the lemon juice, because even as people eat this, you don't want them to come across a brown, nasty, icky piece of banana in there. The vanilla is for your pudding. So in that one box, which is, like I said, this is a large size box of pudding, I actually used 1 tablespoon and a half of vanilla because I really wanted that flavor to come across. The other thing, which is not in the picture that I used, is almond milk. Now, there's a secret to using this in your pudding. Most puddings will not set unless actual bovine or cow milk is used. However, secret ingredient, you want to pick up a box of Knox gelatin, because when you create your pudding and you're using a milk alternative, then you need something to set the pudding. And using a couple packets of this, just follow the instructions on it, it will help you set your pudding. And it does have to go into the refrigerator to become firm. And if you want, you know, I don't use a blender because with that type of pudding, you don't really need to, but I do use a whisk, and I whisk it really, really, really well to get the air in there. And if you do that, then you'll have a really good pudding. But you can make it without using cow's milk. So those are the secrets to me making this banana pudding. Not a big deal, because after you prepare your pudding, which is really the only thing you have to prepare besides chopping up the bananas and adding a little lemon juice to them, you're now going to be in assembly mode. So now I am going to show you how I assemble a banana pudding. I promise you, this is not brain surgery. And you can actually assemble, you know, I will say a Thanksgiving-sized banana pudding, excuse me, relatively quickly. So the first thing I do is I start with a layer of vanilla wafers on the bottom. Like I said, my family, we love all of the ingredients, but we like that cakiness also from vanilla wafers. So I'm pretty wafer heavy, and we'll even take a wafer and crumble it up or two to get all in the cracks and crevices of the bowl to make sure that, whoever gets this particular bowl has a nice amount of Nilla wafers in there. The next thing I will do is I add the pudding. So this is basically what the pudding looks like when it's made. And my pudding is a little bit looser. I like it like that because it helps soak through the cookies better than a super rich, thick pudding. Because remember, we're not making the pudding so that we can, just have pudding. We're making it so that we can have all of these ingredients dance together. And then add a layer of bananas. And I am not going to fill this bowl up. This is just for demonstration purposes. And what you're trying to do is just make sure you cover everything that's in the bowl. Then you will add a layer of your whipped cream. And I would say just stir your whipped cream around so that it gets even creamier. Put a big dollop on there. I should be using a spatula, but like I said, this is the quick and dirty. Like if you're having a date or a special dinner with, whether it be a loved one, a honey bun, or just having friends over, you can make these in individual bowls. I've done that before. You can also make if I have like a tea party, which I had not long ago, then what I'll do is make small individual ones using those little decorative clear plastic cups by, I think, Chinette. And they look really as if you spent like a ridiculous amount of time on them. And of course you have your cookies to garnish and that type of thing. And so now you want to add another layer of cookies. Like I said, you want to make sure this is well covered with each ingredient. And also, if you buy a cheaper pudding, and let's say that pudding is like, use water. Always use milk if they tell you to do that. Even if it's a milk alternative and you have to use my hack of adding the Knox gelatin to it to have it set, it just always tastes better when you use real tasty ingredients. I'm going to crack up another cookie on the top of that. Like I said, we love to make sure that we have plenty of Nilla wafers in there. And then, once again, go in there with our pudding. Spread that around. And if you have any messy, like, rims or anything like that going around here, you'll just clean that up with a paper towel at the end. Add another layer of banana. I could have probably have used another half a banana in here. So, but this is not a diet food. This is definitely, if you eat one of these, this is probably your one meal a day. As far as calories go in a bowl that's this size. But if you make tiny individual ones, then yeah, you can have one of those in a day. Not a big deal. And then we're going to hit this with some more whipped cream. A nice dollop on top. And what I like to do is leave a little bit of the pudding showing on the side, but you don't have to. Some people will completely cover it. The main idea, though, is you need to make sure your cookies are always 100% covered. Otherwise, they will not soften enough. And also, of course, you want to make sure the banana is covered too. So that looks really good. And then to garnish is super simple. All you're going to do is take and finely crush up one of these cookies over the top. In a bowl this size, it's like one cookie. Now you could get fancy and stick a wafer in the side, you know, like you're Cadillacing it or something. Some people will even like line the entire outside of the bowl with a cookie. I mean, I'm not going to go that insane. This is my garnish. Normally I wouldn't even do that, but hey, we're on video here and I want you guys to show you guys how easy this is. And you have other versatile things that you could do with this. Some people will sprinkle a little bit of chocolate powder on top. We are purists, so we do not like all the extra, you know, hullabaloo. We prefer it to be pretty straightforward, super soul sister type of banana pudding. So let me get in there closer to show you. So this is a completed banana pudding, and you could see how quick that was. Super easy, super tasty, and this will stay in the refrigerator for at least 24 hours, and then it will be ready to consume. And this bowl is really enough to serve 2 people. So thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe to our channel. Give us a thumbs up. I will post the video for the sweet potato pie along as a companion to this one. And thank you for enjoying, and hopefully you try this out. In the comments, let me know if you've ever had a banana pudding, and also let me know if you're going to try this or if you have a different spin on it. Thank you. Have a good day. Remember that your health is wealth, and without your health, you have absolutely nothing.